All right, before I tell you the next crime story, I'm going to tell you about the setting. The next story happened it's called El Rancho Supermercado. And so you know what that is. That's a Mexican grocery store. Now, I am a fan of the Mexican grocery store. I'm a huge fan of the Mexican grocery store. For one thing, I just love their food. But for another thing, I like the experience. And, you know, I've been so much that I've got it down pat. I know all the tips and tricks. So let me tell you how you know if you're in a good Mexican grocery store. I'm not saying a high-end grocery store. I'm not saying like an expensive, opulent one. I'm saying where you're going to find the best stuff. Because there's a couple things you need to recognize. So first off, when you go into the good Mexican grocery store, and my Hispanic listeners, help me out. Am I right here? For one thing, the first thing you notice is the music is just way too loud. And it's kind of annoying, even though you're not really talking to anybody. It's like, is it supposed to be this loud? I mean, I like this song, but... So the music's way loud, and you can barely think. It's like, what is this, a party? What, I'm just here to pick up some chilies and tortillas or something. I can barely hear myself think. But you see in the other customers in the good Mexican grocery store that when you're checking out, you know, when you read the label or you're squeezing fruit or whatever, you're kind of bopping around. And when you see other people, you know, just sort of like walking with a little bounce in their step or bobbing their head or what, you start doing it too. And you're like, okay, maybe this is a party while I'm getting groceries. So that's the first sign that you're in a good Mexican grocery store. The second sign, there's fruits and vegetables that you don't recognize. And not only do you not recognize them, they look like they're alien, like they're from that weird planet on Avatar. If you go to the produce section, yeah, that's what it's called. Thank you. Points. You get yourself 4 points for that one. Garrett Ramirez, called Pandora. I forgot that. It's called Pandora. What a dumb name for... Ugh. We're going to have a talk about Avatar one day. It's terrible. Anyway, another thing you'll notice about the good Mexican grocery store. Oh my God, this music's so loud. This is so annoying. Loud music, weird fruits, and the technology's old. I don't mean like they're using an abacus or a sundial, but like when you go to the cash register, here, like if you go to Tom Thumb or a Kroger or Brookshire's or a Super One, you have just a regular computer monitor. It's a flat screen. It's got full color on it. It can do pictures and text and different colors and whatnot. But if you go to the good Mexican grocery store, they're still using the old ones. Like it has a text display, but it's only in green and black. It can only do letters and numbers. It can't do pictures. It's monochromatic. And the other weird thing, Waito's out there, Bulio's listening to the show. If you're not familiar with the good Mexican grocery store, go in there and you're going to see something you don't see in the regular American grocery stores. White, black, or indifferent. You see a jewelry case. A jewelry case in the grocery store? Dude, I don't know. What do you want me to say? I don't know. I have no explanation for that. So now that I've explained the good Mexican grocery store, I'm going to tell you about this group that went in there. 9 people on February 9th at about 5 in the afternoon went into El Rancho Supermercado in Fort Worth. 4 people acted as lookouts. 1 driver remained in the vehicle. 4 people go inside. And they just started pepper spraying employees and just spraying it all around. And then they smashed the jewelry cases and stole the jewelry from the grocery store. They didn't get a concha. They didn't get any plantains. They didn't get any chili powder. They stole what is believed to be about $100,000 worth of jewelry from the grocery store. You know, Texas is a special place. But they were already been busted. Someone gave the description of the vehicle. It got traced back to the McKinney area. And these 9 people may have been involved in many other robberies of similar fashion, going all the way down from here to Houston. Another thing you noticed in the reporting from both the Dallas Express and Dallas Morning News is that 2 of the guys have the same name. There's a 51-year-old Dexter Mitchell, allegedly, reportedly, accusedly suspect. And there's also a Dexter Mitchell Jr. However, let's do some math here. Dexter Mitchell Sr. is 51. Dexter Mitchell Jr. is 36. He became a dad at 15. And now y'all are out doing robberies together? What happened? Is your grandson not old enough yet? Just kidding. Well, that's terrible, but at least we learned something. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Mexican grocery store, go look for those bullet points there, and you'll know you're in the right place. So you learn all kinds of things. You learn Austrian economics, you learn about Doge, and you learn about how to identify a proper Mexican grocery store on the James Show. Cold weather's here. It's going to be with us for another 24 hours or so. And, in extreme temperatures, sometimes things go wrong with your car. Well, I got the guy to help you out with that. Look at this. Back on the show, Jerry Reynolds, host of the Car Pro Show. Welcome back to the James Show. Honored to have you again, sir.
Thank you, James. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, it happened to my boss over here, Bruce. He thought he had some real car trouble. It turned out the battery was just dead from the super cold weather. I bet a lot of people had that experience today.
Oh, it happens. Every time there's a real cold snap, batteries, if they're on the verge of going bad anyway, a cold snap will knock them completely out. And that's why I recommend, James, that people get a battery check done on their car before we face weather like this. And most repair facilities, most auto parts stores, even car dealerships will do a quick battery check, and they can tell you down to the exact percentage that is left in the life of that battery. And people need to know batteries don't last like they used to. If you can get 3 years out of a battery today, you're doing pretty well. But it's a lot cheaper if you're below, say, 20% life left. It's cheaper to buy a battery than to get a wrecker to tow you into a repair facility.
How long's the battery supposed to last again?
3 years right now is really good. They're just not making them like they used to.
I feel like a battery used to be like a 5-year thing.
It did, and a lot of them had 5-year battery warranties on them, but you're scarce to find that today.
I guess since Sears went out of business, we're kind of stuck without diehards now, right?
Yeah, everybody loved the old diehards. They seem to last forever, but there's so many things in these newer cars that are running behind the scenes, even when the car's completely turned off. Stuff is running. And, I hear from listeners there on WBAP who, they don't drive their car very much. Usually they're elderly and maybe they don't go anywhere but once a week. And sometimes they'll go out on a fairly new car and find the battery dead. And that's because of all the things that are running behind, when the car's off. It's kind of crazy.
So whenever I have a battery issue, I go out and I get the cheapest battery humanly possible that'll fit my car. Is that a bad idea?
Well, no, but just know that it's probably not going to last as long as if you bought an interstate battery, for instance, which is, in my opinion, one of the better ones out there.
That was my next question. What would you recommend?
Yeah, Interstate makes a really good battery. A lot of dealerships carry those. A lot of repair shops carry those. Parts places always have them. And they're very good batteries, and they come with a good warranty. But, I just warn people like you and I think, a battery ought to last 5 years, right? No, not anymore.
All right. Well, I'm just lucky it's not mine that died. The thing that really stops me from going in and having my battery checked is I have to go to the store and then I have to take it out and then I have to haul it in and then they test it and then I have to install it back. Is there one of these chains that'll roll a card out to your car and just test it on the car?
Yeah, they can all do that now. It has changed dramatically. A battery test is really, really simple with a meter. It's very portable. It comes out, pop your hood. Again, most places will do it for free because they want to sell you a battery.
See, now I haven't done this in a while because I do the thing where you just drive until it dies.
Yeah. Well, that's one way. I'm not sure it's the most efficient way.
I do not recommend it. It's just I don't want to say I'm cheap. I think I'm efficient is the term.
There you go.
Quite efficient. That. All right. What else do we have going on with cars when it gets super cold like this? It's supposed to get down in the teens tonight. What do we need to look for?
Well, if you're driving an electric car, you want to be very mindful of the fact that when the temperature falls below freezing, that you'll lose 40% of that range. So I worry about people particularly who have, they have night jobs and they've got electric cars and they're driving to work and they're used to their normal range. Well, when the temperature falls below 32 degrees, they're going to lose about 40% of that. And so if if they've got a car that's got a range and they're used to that, and then the temperatures get cold, they need to be very mindful of that meter that tells them how many miles they have to remain on that battery, because once it goes, it goes. And the other thing that happens, and this happened to me, stranded me on the side of the road in an electric car. Sometimes when they get below 10%, they drop like a rock. I mean, I was driving a Nissan Leaf electric, and it showed I had well enough range to get to my office, and all of a sudden the car just shut down, and it was over. Next thing you know, I'm on the side of I-35, and it's 20-something degrees, and cars whizzing by at 70 miles an hour, and I'm looking for a wrecker. So be mindful if you're in an electric car. Otherwise, the things you want to look for, air pressure in your tires, that's a big one. Check that spare. Make sure that it hasn't lost a lot of air. Windshield wipers, this time of year, very critical. And if you're used to just putting water in your windshield washer reservoir, know that's going to freeze in this kind of weather. Use a actual fluid that is made for windshield washers, and it will have an antifreeze in it. Other than that, just be careful. Watch for black ice.
Jerry Reynolds, you are so right about cars doing more things with electricity than they ever did, because, not only do we have like the radio and the engine stuff, but we have like the heated seats. We have all the cameras. It's got to record you. It's got to spy on you. Then it's got to send that information to the FBI, and that'll wear out a battery, especially when it's cold.
It will. And security systems, although more advanced today and give you better protection, they also use more power, and they are running constantly. Your clock in your car is running constantly. And, a couple of days, that's not going to cause you any problems. But after about a week, if you've got a car that's about 2 to 3 years old and that battery's starting to diminish, then it becomes an issue. I tell people, go out and crank it up and let it run for a little while if you're not going to be driving it. And that's a good thing to do.
All right. Thank you very much, Jerry Reynolds, Car Pro Show.
James, thank you, sir.
Don't get stranded on 35 in this terrible weather. If you're going to do it, make sure the weather's beautiful and pristine. If you're going to get stranded on the side of the road, wouldn't you like to do it when it's about 70 outside with a light breeze? That's much better. I found an interesting article on Dallas Express, and it echoes what's happening in D.C. DOJ discovered that so much of the money from USAID and some of these other places, Department of Education and whatnot, a lot of it found its way back into the pockets of major media outlets, and almost exclusively left-wing outlets. And I hate to use the term left-wing because I don't want to politicize it here. I think the word statist or pro-government media outlets is more accurate, because I don't think, the powers that be are necessarily loyal to the Democrat Party. They're loyal to the state. Mitch McConnell is not loyal to the Democrat Party. He's loyal to the state. He's one of the rhinos. And so it's the classic comparison, the metaphor, he who pays the piper calls the tune. And so if you're getting millions of dollars from big government, wouldn't that necessarily affect your reporting and skew it towards in favor of big government? So whenever you see a problem, wouldn't you want to have a big government program solution? If there's ever an issue with education, do you ever want to get rid of the Department of Education, or do you want to expand it? Well, so that's what's been happening at the national level with places like Politico getting $8 million in premium subscriptions, air quotes, and saying, no, they're not buying us off. They were just buying a ridiculous number of overpriced subscriptions that they absolutely did not need. Well, a recent investigation over here at DallasExpress.com, Chris Putnam's outlet, says Texas state agencies have spent $6.7 million on various news outlets since 2016. What? Yeah, you've been funding them. You've been funding your media opposition that runs around calling you racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, xenophobe, literal Nazis, literal Hitlers. You've been funding them with your tax dollars, not just at the national level, but here at the state level. The Dallas Morning News, according to this report, has gotten $428,000. Austin American Statement got $109,000. Houston Chronicle got over $100,000. San Antonio Express News got it. Fort Worth Star Telegram got it. Even Politico got it from you at the state level. So you're getting fleeced in D.C., you're getting fleeced in Austin. You're probably getting fleeced at the local level, I would just imagine. I mean, if DART itself isn't bad enough. So this is all coming from the Texas Comptroller's spending database. You can, don't trust me, follow the links and click around and do your own research. Find the story at DallasExpress.com. But I think we have the same thing going on here. Is, BBC, NPR, PBS, Politico. But it's the local guys as well. Where else are you hearing this but from an alternative news outlet like Dallas Express and WBAP? I will keep an eye on this for you. All right, that's going to do it for the James Show today. If you need more James Show action, please check out the podcast. You know what? Even if you don't need more James Show action, listen to the podcast anyway. Spend the rest of your waking day just going through episodes of the podcast, and then share it on your social media feed and see if you can get some other people. And we got to get these numbers up. Mark Levin's next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.